Welcome back. So today we are doing four builds on one lot, but really it's three. One of them was in a previous video. The community garden that you see here can be found. It's the Sprucewood Square garden speed build on my channel. But today we handle the other three versions of this lot. So with the new Eco Living Pack came these community lots. And with the community lots, they basically have four states, I guess. There's the community lot state, the community garden state, the marketplace, and the maker space. So for each lot, you really have to do like four builds to like redo this lot. So we're starting here with the community lot one. And the idea behind this is that this lot is supposed to be like an abandoned train station that then when you convert the lot into one of the other three things, becomes like remodeled into one of those things. So we start here with like a rundown train station vibe. This is the one I probably spent the longest on. Like making it look rundown was a whole lot of work. But I really, really like how this one particularly comes out. We use a whole bunch of fencing from debug later on. Here we are. So I start with the same base in all of them. So the same basic building because I kind of figure like the community lot, right? This is what's here. And so then all of the lots start with basically this basic frame that we then remodel into what we want. Um, so yeah, here we are tearing down some walls. I put up some metal pillars. Like I like to think that like maybe the city came in and did just enough to keep this building from be like falling over. Like maybe it was cheaper to like throw up a couple supports and some beams than it was to just tear the whole thing down. So this is what happened. We also set it up so that it looks like somebody's squatting inside, which I really like. My cat like wants to be on me right now. I don't know what this is. He's like crawling all over my lap and all over my desk. Maybe he'll just sit nice and be pet here. But he sometimes gets weird when I'm talking to myself, so you just never know. I spent forever trying to decide what debug fencing I wanted, and I ended up not doing it until the very end here. But I kind of like in my head, okay, like the city has come through and they've put up the beams. We put up a couple like wall braces from the debug menu. Um, and then we fence off the whole lot to make it look like, you're not supposed to be in here. Like the city is just like not dealing with it. They're just like stay out. So they put up just enough to like be quote unquote safe, but that's it. Um, so we end up using fencing that is from the debug menu, which means your Sims can walk right through it, which is kind of good. I mean, like I leave a little opening, but like who cares really? Like if you want your Sims to play on this lot. But I leave the voting board where it is right now so that like if you really are just coming to vote, like you don't have to go onto this abandoned lot. Because I feel like that makes sense, right? Like somebody is like taking an action plan and like they don't want to step onto this crazy lot, but like they want something to happen. So they put up this board right at the entrance to this like rundown lot and like are trying to get something to happen. Like I feel like when you see construction happening, sometimes they have those big like bannery signs, and that's kind of like what I was envisioning here. Like this is the sign saying like what this could be. And then maybe after you vote, it's the sign saying what it will be. So these builds like weren't my absolute favorite, but all together I like them, if that makes sense. Like I think they're cuter as a collection. Um, and I like having all of them in my game. So we place so much debug. Like so much of this particular build is me searching through the debug menu and placing things. We place lots of like pipes, and these are those wall braces I was talking about. They have a real name. I can't think of them right now, but it'll come to me. So we just put a couple of those up on the solid walls. We do keep a functioning bathroom here. And then we don't put a whole kitchen in this one, but I end up putting like a fire pit in the middle because I make it look like somebody's maybe squatting here. Um, and so you could like get by on this lot. There's a tent to sleep in, there is the fire to cook on, and then there are bathrooms. Which, like, the functioning bathrooms, like, maybe take away from the realism a little bit, but I don't know. I think it's nice to have functioning bathrooms on community lots, so I kept them, and they're in the shell of the other versions of this lot, so I feel like it fits. Um, yeah. So here we are placing so much of this trash. I love how some of the trash is like super linear, like it lines up against a wall really nicely. Um, and it makes for really cool builds. I used a lot of it and I made like a single family home where we like revised the lot to make it look smaller and made it look like there was an alley running through it. Love how that build turned out. There's a speed build of that up on my channel. Totally recommend you check that out if you like, I don't know, like debug kind of builds. Like it's a debug heavy build, but like I don't know, I'm really into that right now, but it's because we have the new Eco Living debug. Like every time we get new debug items, I get really excited about it all again. So here we are, I add some roof trim because the roof started to look a little weird because I wanted it to be there in some places and not others, but I think it comes out okay. It's hard to make it look like it fell away without like adding rock and stuff. Like I'm thinking when you make like a pool and you want to make it look like a pond, you put like lots of plants and rocks and whatever around the edge to make it look a little more irregular. Well, like the ceiling should have fallen in a little more irregularly, but I couldn't come up with like a great way to make that happen, so I end up using like this leaning fence debug piece to kind of give it more of like a ragtag vibe. Um, I tried to just be very sporadic. Like I didn't want there to be patterns. This is the tent I was talking about. I thought about putting like a fake tent in too, just for, the aesthetic, but I don't. I should have put a woohoo poohoo bush on this lot, but I didn't. But you definitely could place that down and make it like back by the dumpsters maybe and make it totally work. The one thing about this lot is it's not super green other than it has a lot of grass. But they're not like floor tile grass, so I don't think that'll count. Um, what else was I gonna say? Who knows? I gotta talk for 25 minutes. This is like a really long voiceover for me. Like normally I try to keep these speed builds to like 12-ish minutes because I don't have that much to say. But this build is cool and I like it. And I didn't, one of these builds, like I think it's the makerspace, came out to like 4 minutes when I sped it up. So I was like, I want to put this footage out here. I think it's like a cool lot and I want I want a lot, maybe not all of, but I want a lot of my perfect save file. I want those up and like documented. And so I wanted this to live here and I had to come up with a way that didn't involve me posting a 4-minute video. So this is what I came up with and I like this video concept. I'm pretty happy with it. So again, I feel like the city saw somebody's ladder that they'd thrown up here and they came through and fenced off the roof pieces just to like keep people off the roof. Um, but obviously the fencing has been torn down in some places. I really love this object. I'm not even sure I've ever used it. It's kind of a hassle, um, getting it to clip quite right, but once we get it figured out, it's okay. And I almost ended up deleting some of these poles because like where they intersect with archways, the poles in between the fencing pieces, where they intersect with archways like below them, there's like a long piece that hangs down. But I kind of like the idea that maybe they were there and like it looked nice before, like it was some kind of structural piece, but that now because there are missing pieces, like you can see some of that framework. Like I don't know, that's kind of the vibe I was thinking. So I end up leaving it, and I don't hate it. I think it accomplishes the goal, and it won't stop your sim from like walking through there because again, it's a debug. And then we end up framing out this whole lot with these pieces as well, which is a little tedious and slow, but once it's done, I like how it looks. And I do think it gave it a much more rundown look. So if you wanted a fun challenge, you could definitely start like a rags to riches on this lot. And then maybe vote to get what you need, right? Like a makerspace could be super pivotal for a sim playing rags to riches, but you could start by squatting on this lot. Like obviously you'd have to have an empty lot somewhere else because the Sims works that way. Like you have to have a house, but you could totally and like, have an empty lot somewhere else and just like play on this lot and then like vote to make it something else. I don't know. I kind of like that idea. I think it'll be fun. So here's me deleting those polls and then deciding I like them. Um, yeah. So for real, like half of this time I spent just digging through the debug menu, but sometimes you gotta. I put up some graffiti, which I think is really cool. I could not find this the other day. I need to peek right now. This is from Strangerville, maybe? Strangerville, I think. Sorry, I watched these back in really low def so that there's no timing issues with like my voice compared to the video, but then it's hard to see the little icons and things. So I debated using this fence for a while, and really the only reason I didn't is because I had to alt place every single piece to get the little chain to look like it was going through the little loop. And I just like couldn't. I was like, there's no way I'll make a super straight line that way. I can't handle it. Oh my gosh. I tried not gel. What is this called? Dip nails? Where like it's like the powdered dip nails for the first time, like on myself, right? Like I've also never gotten them at the salon, but I tried them on myself today and I kind of don't hate it. I think I'll do better the next time. Like I have some rough spots and whatever. Um, but like there's this step in the middle where you can file them down and I think I just got a little lazy at the end. But I like how they came out. And they're orange, which is fun for summer, I think. Like a sherbety neon orange. I don't know, I'm into it. Not that anybody cares about that here, but you know, that's what I did today. I got, curbside delivery or curbside pickup from Ulta. So it was quite the day for me. We're almost done with this community lot. I think I fiddle around. Maybe I add some plants. I think I do add some grass right up front, which again, your Sims will be able to walk right through. So no worries there. But I wanted to have a look like nobody's here because I feel like even the squatter wouldn't want somebody to know that they're there because they could get kicked out. So this is the community lot. And here we are. We add a fire. That's what we do. We had a fire and a couple like meshy chairs and a guitar. I had some camping stuff at the end because like I started to think about somebody living here and you need something for fun, so you got a guitar. So once again, now we're on to the marketplace. So the marketplace is probably the most boring of all of these. I think it was the video that would have been 4 minutes, so we'll talk fast. So here I am with that same shell that I said I used with all of them. Super excited about it. So I imagine this was like already a little renovated, right? Like it was more restored to look like it did in the beginning, right? Like they restored the train station and then converted it. So I had a hard time, and I'm going to continue to have a hard time because there are 2 more of these like lots that I need to do. But with the makerspace and the marketplace in particular, the makerspace was a little easier, but the market space especially, what are you supposed to put on this lot? Like you put up a few tables, but like then what? So like I end up paving a lot of it just to take up some visual space. We make like a coffee area. We also make like a little indoor sales area. I think I make like a little kids area. It was kind of a struggle. Like, I don't know. I ran out of like ideas as to what should be on this lot. Um, because I didn't want to have like a whole bunch of activities because I felt like that should be for the maker space. I don't know. I struggled. So we end up making it like we make like a food courty type of thing. Um, so I like set up these tables all nice up here. And I think the kids zone in this one I make on the roof. And yeah, I think I do. And it has like a frog rug. It turns out pretty cute. So these 2 carts are the same. They're just there for visual appeal. And I think I end up putting a third different one in. We put in a couple picnic tables down here for those who like can't climb the ladder. I think kids can climb the ladder, but I'm not 100% positive on that. So if they can't, I'm sorry that I put the kids space on the roof. But I think they can. I should test that, but like I probably won't. This is already on the gallery, so there's no way it gets tested before it's on the gallery, but I will look into that here in the future. So I get annoyed at the swatches of these tables because there's only a couple that aren't light wood, which like when you're placing one on your home lot, who cares, right? You just place the one you want. But when you're making like a maker space, excuse me, what is this? This is the marketplace. The words are all very similar. So this one I make lots of room for like murals. I can't remember if I keep this mural inside. I don't think I do. I think I put a kitchen there instead. I add some windows because the garden has very few windows. For anybody who saw the garden speed build, my bad. Like I didn't even put the 3 windows in the back in until like after the build. So in most of these, I do end up, other than actually even that one, I had the campfire. But in these builds, I try to make it so that you could stay here all day, right? Like, it's not fun to take your sim to like go do something and then halfway in, like, they're tired, they're grumpy, like, they need to do stuff. So I try to have like, I have the kitchen, I have the bathroom. We don't have a shower on this lot, but you could totally delete one of the bathroom stalls and put in a shower. So then I make like a little indoor vending area. I was thinking of like a fair, like, I don't know. The actual thing I was thinking of is like the cultural. There's in my hometown, there's this thing called the cultural festival, where like there was always all these different like culture booths and stuff where people sold like their made items and their like cultural items, and it was very cool. But I was kind of thinking of that setup where there's like rows of stuff inside and it's pretty cramped. Um, but that was kind of what I was thinking with the table setup inside. And then what else do we do? I do some shifting so that they're not like on the murals. I haven't played with the murals. I know they came with City Living. I haven't played with them really though. So I'll be interested to like putz around with that a little bit. But I think it'll look really cute once the murals are done on this lot. If you do that, if you play on this lot, I would love to see screenshots. That would be so cool. My socials are down in the description box. Feel free to DM me um, screenshots if you play on this lot, because I would love to see it with the completed murals. I think it would look so cool because this is kind of a colorful lot. So this is this whole build. This is the one that only took 4 minutes. So now we are on to the makerspace. So same frame, just like before, imagining that it's like a little bit renovated. So right away I get rid of one of the doors and I make a little room for these ugly things. I end up rearranging the bathroom in this one just because I didn't want that room to be massive, but I also wanted the walls to line up. So that was the struggle for this build, is we had to rearrange the whole bathroom to make the door work and all that good stuff, and it does. But I had to hide these ugly machines in their own room. Like I couldn't. I mean, like it has an archway, like you can see into it, you can see the ugly machines, but at least they're like, you know, hidden away to get rid of that nasty aesthetic. I mean, like it's not bad, and there are other things in the game that look like it, but there's nothing else in this pack that looks like it. And I know, like literally everybody on YouTube that plays Sims has already complained about this, so I'm not gonna drag on about it for long. But like, it was necessary to hide them. That's all I've got. All right, so then this one, we move the kitchen over a little bit and we make a kid space in the corner because I wanted the kids to have lots of activities here too, because especially at a makerspace, I feel like you could definitely need to come and stay all day. Um, as opposed to like the marketplace, you might just go to shop or go to sell for a couple hours. Like the makerspace, I imagine like you would spend whole days here, so we needed lots of stuff for kids. So we put down toys, we put down activities. I've literally never used the Void Critters thing, but I placed that here and I'm excited about it. And then we make a little kitchen here. I think this is my favorite layout inside um, of, these. Uh, I like these cabinets in this build. I think they go with eco living nicely, like the touches of wicker and the nice wood tones. I just think they go with this pack really nicely. And then what else do we do? I don't know. I just think the inside of this build is the most like complex and complicated, especially the garden. The inside is like literally nothing. The inside is just like me struggling to fill an empty box. But that's okay. We get there in the end. Now, this doesn't have like the most maker stuff. Like, I know people have made maker spaces that have tons and tons and tons, and that's super nice for gameplay. I will say that. Um, But also, like, I imagine this is like, if this is truly a community space, like, also the city doesn't have the budget for all of that stuff. Like, you know? So, we just put a couple of each thing in. The kids zone honestly turns out so cute. I love it. I like this rug too, because it looks like, I don't know, it gives me like color wheel science classroom vibes. And that's very much what this space is about, is like making and creating and testing and experimenting. And, it just works. So then I put a couple woodworking tables outside because I realized I hadn't like used everything I want to. I put a couple of recycling machines in the back because they're ugly. Um, they're not as bad as those other machines, the fabricators, because at least they match like the dumpsters and stuff, but like they sure as heck weren't going inside my build. So, but they do look like they're supposed to be there when they're out by the dumpsters. They look intentional, which is better. Here I'm clearly getting distracted. I did this build in a bunch of chunks, which like I try not to do that. I try to just like sit down and film everything because mostly I don't like clipping them all together and editing. Like I don't love that look for me. But then what ends up happening is I'll get distracted and like leave the camera running and then forget that I did it, and so I'll speed it up, and then, now I'm doing the voiceover, so it's too late because I don't want to stop and start that. So I decide to make a dog park on this lot, so you could work on that skill as well. I try to jam pack this place with skill building activities because like also, I mean, I've placed a couple of most of the things. The things I didn't place here are the flower arranging tables, but I put those in the garden lot and the archaeology table because I just didn't want to. I never play with it. Nope, no thank you. Um, like it's fine, but like I didn't feel like it needed it here. You could definitely swap out like one of the woodworking tables for an archaeology table, or put archaeology tables like down the other side wall if you were really keen on having them. Like you could make them fit. I just wasn't inspired to make them fit. So we get the dog trainings, like the pet training skill instead. And I mean, it's a community lot. You could have a dog park. I also make the traits on this lot, like the dog friendly one, and then also the one where like strays show up because, that's fun. And I hardly ever do that outside of Brindleton Bay, so, good times. And mostly, the thing is, we needed to fill up some lot space. And I didn't want to do it in the same ways I'd done it in, like, the other versions where I didn't want to have another food space because that seemed redundant. I didn't want to have a huge playground, which was kind of the other option in my head. So we just have like a little playground on this lot. Like I make a little sandbox, I think. And then there's like a swing set. But I think the dog park's cute. And I think it works. Here I am getting distracted again. Surprise, surprise. I'm a pretty easily distracted person in general. And then I usually like watch Netflix and stuff while I film, or not film. What is it called? While I screen record, like while I build. And so sometimes I'll get sucked into my show and I'll stop building. I use these fruit tables, which I think I've literally never used, but how fun. And I also felt like they tied in some of the dog stuff because those dog tunnels only come in bright, obnoxious colors. So I felt like we needed something. I thought about putting the observatory because, like, where else are you going to put one, right? Like, what other lot can you put an observatory on? But this one wasn't it. I'm thinking maybe for one of the other community lots that I will just make a lot that functions as all three and then save it as all three. So I'll have like the rundown community lot, and then I'll have like a garden slash makerspace slash marketplace and save it as all three in this save so that it's like an all for one kind of a thing, so no matter what one you vote for, you get all of them. Which like will affect the gameplay in that way, but mostly it'll just mean like you have all of those options, which I think could be pretty cool. Like it makes the voting not important then, which some people might find lame, but then like go vote on a different one, like because I think for the other two I will make them like changing. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'll make them change with the vote. So we're coming to the end of this. The last thing I do here is I make like a wellness space, like some yoga and some meditation. The thing I wish I did was to put one yoga mat the other way to make it look like a yoga class, but I think you definitely could. And then I make these meditation things go in a little semicircle. So I imagine these people all meditate together. But this is it. Enjoy the screenshots and thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch y'all in the next one.